and I told him the dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Is that going to work for you? Those
yeah,
dates, are they going to work for you?
it's perfect for us. So I already told him about that. But I do have a few questions, Maharaj. If we can have a short call after this session today, that would
Yes,
be
we
great
can.
if you have some time.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm in Argentina, Buenos Aires, and I think everything's okay. All right. Who else do we have here? I see Guru Das from Hawaii.
Jai Maharaj.
Basanta from Florida. Aribo. That's all small group today. Oh my God. And the people from Europe are the most steady. All right, maybe a few more will join us. Let's get started. Nama Om Vishnuvedaya Krishna
Krishna
Krishnaaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Dhanamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravan Parijani Nirvisheshasyavadi Paschatya Desapari Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. Hare Krishna. Let's go to page 1 from the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, please repeat after me. Om Ajnanatimirandasya.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya
Jnananjana Shalakaya.
Jnananjana Shalakaya
Chakshuran Militam Yena.
Chakshuram Militam Yena
Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha.
Okay, there's a little longer delay than usual, I guess because I'm way down in South America. All right. So I was born in the darkest ignorance.
I was born in the darkness of ignorance.
And my spiritual master opened my eyes.
And my spiritual master opened my eyes.
Spiritual master opened my eyes.
With the torch of knowledge.
With the torch
of knowledge.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
I offer my respectful
obeisances unto him, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
All right, good. So thank you. Vaishnavi, our host, will tell us what verse we're on today.
We will be doing 1844.
Chapter 18, what is it?
44.
44. Okay, great. Okay, here we go. Yashir Gorakamani Jamma Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam Paricharyatmakam Karma Sudrasyapi Swabhavajam. Translation. Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas. And for the Shudras, there are labor and service to others. Okay. Then we'll go to the next one, 45. By following his qualities of word, every man can become perfect. Now, please, from me, how this can be done. Okay. And there's no purport for both of these. Then I think we should go to this next one. Let's do the Sanskrit. Somebody can do the Sanskrit for this. Someone else the English. And then we'll get, let's say, 4 people onto reading the purport. Okay?
Okay. So Gurudas can do the translation. Naman and your family will do the first half of the purport, and Ritam the second one, and Vasanta the last part of the purport, and I'll do the Sanskrit. Yata pravrittir bhutanam.
Okay, is everybody clear on that?
Yatha pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmanatam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha.
By worshiping, by worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work.
Very good. Purport?
Okay. As stated in the 15th chapter, all living beings are fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the Supreme Lord is the beginning of all living entities. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha. The Supreme Lord is therefore the beginning of life of every living entity. And, as stated in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord, by his 2 energies, his external energy and internal energy, is all pervading.
Thank you.
Therefore, one should worship the Supreme Lord with his energies. Generally, the Vaishnava devotee worship the Supreme Lord with his internal energy. His external energy is a perverted reflection of the internal energy. The external energy is a background, but the Supreme Lord, by the expansion of his plenary portion as Paramatma, is situated everywhere. He is the supersoul of all demigods, all human beings, all animals, everywhere. One should therefore.
Thank you.
One,
Next.
one should therefore know that as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, one has his duty to render service unto the Supreme. Everyone should be engaged in devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness. That is recommended in this verse. Everyone should think that he is engaged in a particular type of occupation by Rishikesha, the master of the senses, and by the result of the work in which one is engaged, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, should be worshipped. If one thinks always in this way, in full Krishna consciousness, then, by the grace of the Lord, he becomes fully aware of everything.
Okay, and we have a little bit left for 4th person. Next.
Vasanta.
Hello.
Manasi Ganga, go.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances and blessings.
Yeah, please read. Please read. Please read.
That is,
There's the big gap. We shouldn't have a big pause like that. Okay, go ahead.
if one thinks always in this way in full Krishna consciousness, then by the grace of the Lord, he becomes fully aware of everything. That is the perfection of life. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 12.7, Tesamaham Samudartha. The Supreme Lord himself takes charge of delivering such a devotee. That is the highest perfection of life. In whatever occupation one may be engaged, if he serves the Supreme Lord, he will achieve the highest perfection. Hare Krishna.
Oh, God. Thank you very much for Moose. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we covered 3 verses. We talked, prior this. We spoke about Brahminical people. We spoke about Kshatriya people, kind of actual leaders, practical leaders. The Brahmins are a little bit more visionary leaders, subtle leaders, you could say. And now we're talking about the farming class, of which Krishna was raised by, right? And then finally, we're talking about the shooter class that are engaged in labor and support everyone. Okay? Then 45 helps us to understand, doesn't matter whatever the quality that you've taken on as a natural consequence, make sure that you do everything for Krishna. That's the point. Okay? Finally, 46. God is the center, the source of all of us, and He's all pervading, and therefore we must do everything for Him. And that is the perfection of life. Okay. Sorry, I'm drinking like a fish. We were very busy with the drama practice. Okay. So in general, those who have certain qualities, we should acknowledge them and dovetail them in Krishna's service. Krishna has given you a body and a level of brain power that should all be used in his service. So that is everyone's been gifted with some unique quality, some or other spirit towards the Lord. You know, let Krishna, let him be satisfied with the fact that you're using the talents he gave in his service. I hope everybody can appreciate that. We're all molded a little bit differently. We should, and of course, it's by our desire, our karmic consequences. That's very true. But at the same time, Krishna did allow for you to be what you are now, based on your desire and what you deserve. And if you're a person in the shooter category, it simply means then that you have certain abilities of physical strength, like to be simple. You don't want to be complicated. You get some joy from doing the things that you're good at. Okay, say like a shooter can do many wonderful things that a brahmana cannot, and so one should take pride, have some pride in one's work, but remember that the physical strength, the ability, the brains that it takes to move things, it's all in the hands of Krishna. Ultimately, we give credit to him. Now, Prabhupada also said, it doesn't matter where you go in the world. It doesn't matter. You'll find Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. You know, you cannot. Thank you so much. Yeah, you just need one or two of these. One to two. Put more water in there. Oh, yeah. Otherwise, it's too strong. Okay, more water. Yeah. Okay. I think we've discussed this a few times now, the natural order of things, the guna and the karma that everyone's born with. Just recognize what they are. Don't fight against it. The Arjuna, he was trying to do something superficial. He was trying to fight his Kshatriya nature. He was trying to be something else than what he is or was. And this is where he went wrong. Miscalculation. A misreading of what is the truth. So truth lies in all of us. And the truth that I'm talking about is look at your makeup, look at what you've got, and that's what you are. Some people are confused about your gender. Why don't you look at your genitalia, and then that should help you a lot. You understand? Why should it be so confusing? And just accept karmana dhavanitrina. That means accept what is your karma, live with it, and work with it. Okay. Any comments, questions at all?
Hare Krishna
Well,
Maharaj.
I'll ask this. Yeah, go ahead.
So Maharaj, could you expand a little bit on external energy and internal energy of Krishna?
Expand a little bit on it. Well, that which you can see and that which you can smell and taste and touch, that is generally the physical energy, the external energy, right? And that which you cannot see, that which is more subtle, but that which you can understand, that is generally the internal energy.
Yeah.
Now, to feel the internal energy more, that will be appreciated through the practice of bhakti, because bhakti is an interior or internal practice. Whereas when you do something for your maintenance, that is more for your external, maintenance. I mean, I'm just giving it to you very simply. Right now, we're looking at each other, right? I'm assuming we're looking at each other. I see Dhanraj, he just poked his head out. Okay, I'm seeing him, but I'm not really seeing the true him. He is something else. In the liberated state, he is a free soul, a free soul. But now I see physical bodies, physical faces. I see Julian she's very tired because it's very late at night. Okay, but that's okay. We forgive you. Yeah. Okay, so that which is, of course, temporary, that is physical. That which is permanent, that is of a spiritual nature. That's how you can draw the line.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. Yes, yes.
Is there anybody else who would like to, make some addition to that? What's external and what's not external, or what's internal, and draw the difference between the two? There's more we can say on this. But I'd like to hear you devotees say it. What's the difference between spirit and spirit?
Maharaj, Gurudas here. How would you categorize?
Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. I'm sorry to interrupt.
How would you categorize?
Sorry, I was going to ask, how would you categorize the subtle body and intelligence and those things? Are those external? I mean, sort of the more subtle parts. Yeah, like the subtle body.
The subtle of the gross.
Yeah,
that's right. The subtle part of the grossness. Okay, that's stated. You can look this up in the Gita, and you're in a Bhumir apanalovayu kanmano buddhir evacha. Okay, so the first 5 gross elements are mentioned. And then the 3, that is mind, intelligence, and ego. Those 3 and 5 together make it 8. They're the separated energies of the Lord. How do we perceive the mind? Can anybody say? How do you perceive the mind, the existence? How can we perceive the intelligence?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
From my understanding, which might not be correct, the mind and the intelligence are material in the material set. The thing is that through bhakti, we can make them spiritual. Like through the practice of bhakti,
Right.
you can spiritualize them, but they are actually material tools.
Right. You can purify them, right?
Yes.
But my simple question to you all is, how do you perceive them? Okay.
When
Like say, for instance, skin, I can see that. Hair, I can see it. I can smell what detergent you use when you took your latest shower, if I get close, which I won't. But I can tell through the different senses. How do you perceive the subtle senses, which is the mind, intelligence, and ego?
Thinking, feeling.
Look at what
mind,
you're
my-
driving toward, what you're desiring.
mind somehow tells us whether we are happy or not, in one sense.
The mind? I'm sorry, could you say that again?
When we, for example, if we eat tasty food, that the mind is happy.
The mind is happy during that time. Okay, sure.
So Gurudas had
The
something to
mind is
say,
happy for a
and
little while.
yeah, Dhanraj has his hands up.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking
Go
the
ahead.
mind is an instrument that that thinks about situations or things, but the intelligence or the vivek buddhi is the one that supersedes the mind. For example, a person who goes to a bar and has a drink, for example, says, okay, let me have a drink, it's such a nice evening, I want to have a drink. But then that would be the mind, because all his friends are drinking or all his friends are out partying or whatever. But then the vivek buddhi or the intelligence would say, oh, but you're not supposed to drink and drive because you're going to be driving your car. So I think the mind is generally an organ which is the thinking organ, but you have to use a higher force to override, because like I gave a poor example of the bar, but there's an example that we can also use for other things, which is more sattvic, I would say. So the mind will always kind of get allured with the senses or with perceptions around the universe, but the vivek, the intelligence, has to have that discriminatory power to differentiate, is what I think.
Mhm. Okay, that's a very nice answer. Beautiful. Good. Anybody else? Okay, so but I'd just like to say along the same lines, the mind is an instrument, and it tries to determine what's going to give me pleasure and what's not going to give me pleasure. When we so it's kind of it's sifting through material. No, it's it's gauging, isn't it? It's an instrument that gauges. Be good for me, will it not be good for me? In Sanskrit, they say sankalpa and vikalpa, or like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. When you apply the intelligence, especially the purified intelligence, like what Julian Yetter was saying, when the intelligence has been blessed with the presence of bhakti, then we determine if I get involved in a certain matter that is trying to tempt me, is it good for my overall my well-being, or does it just give me immediate satisfaction? So when filtered or distilled through the mind saying, yes, I've got immediate pleasure, I'll get it right now. That's one thing. But the intelligence, which is a more developed side of the self, it's saying it's going to give me some stimulus, but it's not going to last long. I want something that's for ultimate benefit. You know, your reason, sense of reason is enhanced when we use the intelligence, of course. The mind acts more without rationale, isn't it? The mind is more fickle. It's just saying, yeah, I'm going to get a buzz now, right? So that's the difference between the two. And finally, the ego, which is one of the three subtle elements. The ego is just a very standard hurdle in the way, and it convinces us entirely that the body is the self. That's what ego is. Ego basically is another instrument, and it's leading us to believe that there is no God. I'm the one that really needs to be in control. Edging God out. EGO. Okay. Prabhus? Any other contemplation on this?
So
The
Maharaj,
gross and the subtle parts of the gross self.
Maharaj, mind could be an enemy
Dharma.
as well as friend. We hear that verse somewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Mind could be your best friend or enemy.
Yes.
So it could be a best
Yes,
friend
that's right.
when it helps the situation. It becomes an enemy when it defeats the purpose, right?
Yes. And when the intelligence can also be an enemy, but if it's been disciplined through a nice kind of training. Prabhupada was at 26 Second Avenue, and some of the kids were coming outside in that neighborhood and rapping on the window, making all kinds of noises. So they were just being like very nonsensical little rascals. And Krishna was just, they are like that. Their behavior is out of control because they have no training. So when the intelligence has gone through some training, it just means that your future is bright. There's a good sense of direction ahead. You can make very quick, snap decisions like this. But if there's no training of discipline, no tapasya, then you are just going to be led by the crazy mind, which is always going to tell you what is good for you now, in the immediate moment. Okay. Well, thank you for telling me. How many people want enemies? Nobody. How many people want friends?
Maharaj, I cannot hear you properly.
I think that means everybody.
Yeah, I was wondering the same. Is
Everyone
Maharaj's
think,
voice cracking only for me, or is it for everybody else?
I think maybe you should
For everyone, Prabhuji.
discontinue the picture, photo, just, voice may help.
Let's try it out. I am very far away in South America.
Maharaj, you're not audible, so I think why don't you just go off the video and just stick to the audio, and let's try that, please.
We can see
Can you
the
hear me
language.
now?
Yeah.
Yes, much better.
Much
Is that a
better.
little better?
Yes,
Yes.
Maharaj.
Much better, much better.
Okay, yeah, just as soon as. Okay, I'm sorry if we missed something. It's just, I can't tell. You have to let me know. Okay, let me know earlier than later. All right. Okay, so well, we discussed a few points. Mainly our topic has to do with our karma and what are you going to do with it? Are you going to, let's say, accept what has come to you in this life? Or are you going to deny it and dismiss it and just do what you want to do? You see, when you're born in a certain way, I can simply, you can reason like this. My track is set, my path is paved. I know where to go and I know what I should be doing. But, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Okay. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Thank you. But if you have all kinds of interferences, people convince you something that bhakti is not the thing. The thing to do is to have a good time, But that's not good advice. That's not going to work for you. So the best advice that can be given to anyone when it is layered with some discipline, then there's got to be something good about it. Like any medicine, any real good medicine has this a sharpness to it that is not so tasty in the beginning, but at the end it will be good. We have this kind of medicine in Canada. They don't have it in the US. They call it Buckley's. You ever heard of that? Buckley's. And if you have like a flu or if you have a cold, you take this. It's so strong, it is powerful, but it works. Hare Krishna. So the things that are a little uncomfortable, inconvenient in the beginning will eventually turn into something quite sweet and nectarian. I'll ask you, Prabhus, have you given some thought as to what is your varna? Anybody?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Now I can. Yeah, go ahead. Arjun, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I hope you're
Has
doing
anybody
great.
given some thought to their?
I think our varna will be as trying to be devotees of Krishna will become devotees of Krishna. Isn't that our varna? And then try to bring people to Krishna too.
Well, varna is your career. Yeah, but I'm not asking you to tell. Please, you don't have to tell me what you think your varna is. I'm just asking you all honestly. Have you given some serious thought as to what you are most suited
Yes,
to
Maharaj.
in one of these 4 categories? You've given some thought to it. Okay.
I think.
Great.
Do we give you an answer now?
Well, you don't have to tell me, but if you wish to, you can say.
Oh, so I think I'm a Vaishnav. I think it's, I wouldn't classify myself as a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Shudra or a Vaishya. I think I'm a Vaishnav. Does that qualify?
Did you say Vaishnav or Vaishya?
No, Vaishnav.
Well, Vaishnav is something different.
Okay. Then a Brahmin.
Vaishnava overarches everything. You see, Vaishnav means you're a devotee of God. But when I say Varna, I'm talking about what is your natural career? Where do you sit in terms of Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra? I'm not asking you don't have to tell me what you think you are. I'm simply asking you, have you given some thought to it? Have you had a serious chat with yourself to understand what is your karma? I'm the first one to say, I am not an intellectual. Maybe I'm a Brahmin, I'm not sure, but I'm certainly not an intellectual. No, I'm definitely not a Kshatriya, that I can say. I'm definitely not a business person. Maybe I'm a Shudra and a little bit of a Brahmin mixed together. That's what I think I am. I know one person, he's a godbrother of mine, and we could never figure him out. He likes to do pujari work. He does fixing a handyman's work. You know, he's got formidable qualities, in other words, and he's just got all kinds of, a little bit of a leader. He's got everything. He's a true mix. The true mix. But in all of us, there's something, a feature that's dominant, and that's what we should consider for ourselves as to what we are. But the most important thing is that we are Vaishnava. That is, we serve the Lord. We serve Krishna. Okay. But the point I'd like to make is, please do not deny your psychophysical self. Do not deny it. Okay. Anybody else with some comments on this?
Maharaj, I would like to say something. Like I was thinking about this once, and I feel like depending on the situation, I feel like all the different varnas, sometimes feel, okay, I might belong to this one. So because I feel like like certain qualities from each varna sometimes manifest. So is that natural, or is it the case that every person has all four varnas in them? If so, how can we determine which one we
Well,
truly
just
belong
there's one that's going to be dominant, right? I think we all feel a little bit like, we like to get our hands dirty. We like to dig. We might like to shoot our work, and we get a lot of pleasure from it. But in the end, we all feel we have something that's most dominant in us. And if you can't see that in yourself, maybe your guru will, or some of your friends will, or your parents will. A lot of us have to end up doing multitasking, doing many different things, and being expert at all of them. Like Prabhupada expected his disciples to learn how to keep nice books, financial upkeep. He wanted us to learn cooking. He wanted us to do puja. He wanted us to be able to give classes. He wanted us to learn how to clean properly, everything. Like he was ready to do anything. When Prabhupada was in Montreal, he and I think it was Malati, they saw a rat in the room. And so they were both going around catching the rat by putting a box over it. So Prabhupada could say, well, I'm the guru of the movement. You guys fix it up. I'm not having anything to do with capturing that rat. You understand what I'm saying? He was ready for anything. He even sometimes stood in line at the Montreal Temple in the old days, stood in line waiting to go and to use the toilet and the shower. We have to be, in some ways, be ready for anything and everything. But there's something that we might need to specialize in. And like say, for Arjuna, to be a pacifist and to go in the forest and maybe meet some people and beg from them. It's not natural for him. He was a resourceful man. The qualities of what we find in the Kshatriya, chapter 18, text 43. He was a resourceful person. He had everything at his disposal. He could click his hands like this and things would happen. All right.
Thank you, Maharaj.
And does that help?
Yes, yes, it definitely does. But I also feel like it's also important to use the intelligence to decide who we give the authority to. Because if we end up giving the authority to someone who's themselves not situated in the right consciousness, and if we ask them, you tell me what my duty is, they sometimes they might lead us in the wrong direction. So that's why, yeah, whether it's friends or parents, best of all spiritual master, then they can probably tell us best.
Yes, that's right. But usually people end up going to a school where they're attracted to a certain, special field. And so that then determines what you are, right? Maybe a very technical kind of person, good with computers, or somebody says, oh, to hell with that. I just like to build log cabins. So that gives you a good idea. You like to do it. You feel nourished by it. So that's your role. You like to do physical things. And then it's easy to be a Vaishnava when you're doing the physical material things that you like to do. It's easy then to be a Vaishnava. But being a Vaishnava means to be a servant of the Lord, and that means you're ready to do anything.
Thank you, man.
All right. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, I just came across an article about the same Varnashrama where Bhakti Vinoda Thakura writes about Daiva Varnashrama, where he is saying that that is the bhakti, Krishna bhakti is the goal of life, and thus Vaishnavas who are pursuing the ideals, this ideal of Krishna consciousness, are above Varnashrama system. And that's one of the things where Bhaktivinoda Thakura has actually requested Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to have, when people get second initiation, the Brahmin initiation, the Upanayana, the ritual, where plus the Gayatri mantra is given to a devotee. Am I right, Maharaj? Like, so can we say that Varnashrama can also be applied in the initiation ritual? Like,
Okay, you're giving an example that if somebody is proving by nature to be a Brahminical person, he might be given Upanayanam when he's young.
Yes.
Is
And
that your point?
And so, yes, Maharaj. And so with that,
Yeah, I mean, go
yes,
ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Please.
Yeah, well, those kind of practices may come about more clearly in time in our ISKCON movement. You know, if you've got a son or a daughter that shows Brahminical qualities, you might like to give them a little bit of extra samskars, sacrament to help them along their way. But I would say this, if you have a son or a daughter who shows to be a promising Brahmana, then the Brahmana should be also to be a good teacher and to share the wisdom, not just to be a man of rituals, but to be a sharing teacher. Okay, that is what to me comes across in the Bhagavad Gita itself, which we're studying here in chapter 18. It is said that one who studies this dialogue, what we're going through, worships me by his intelligence. So we're doing Brahminical tasks when we discuss and study and have dialogue about what Krishna and Arjuna are saying. Brahminical people are happy to do that. So, I mean, in time, in practicality, yeah, some parents might consider their son or daughter to be Brahminical, but it might work. Sometimes people make their own decisions on this, and you can see if it's natural for you. But if you prematurely stamp somebody, oh, here's a Brahmana, we've given him Upanayanam, but that person hasn't gone through any real training, has not accepted a guru, then it could just be a formality, and that can be dangerous to society when people are not properly trained.
Thank you,
That's
Mother.
why it's good. It's good for young people to go through a little training, like have a little ashram experience, like in the temple, where in down in Gainesville, they've started that Krishna house, and up north of Toronto, we started it, and it's very, very helpful. The what we call the Bhakti Academy, where students who are, well, they might be students or they're graduated or about to be. We allow people at the age of 18 to stay with us for 3 months to have the full-on, temple experience. So I'd encourage that for anybody who's got young folks, sons and daughters. They all come out being such good people. Yeah. So, what I'm trying to say, Sandamani, let's just say if you want your boys to go get Upanayanam, that's fine. But along with that, you want them also to train up, to learn to do Swadhyaya, which is study of the Shastra, and then to share the message of the Shastra with others.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
it can't just be, it shouldn't become so rubber stamp like, or like you hear some people say, we are Brahmins, or my father was a Brahmin. Okay, nice, thanks for letting me know. Are you a Brahmin too? Well, yes, I am, because my father is one. I said, well, what is your qualification? Let me test you on the philosophy of the Vedas. And if they can't say anything, what can you do?
Yes.
Actually, living in an ashram or a temple or something like that, having a little retreat, it really brings out the best in a person. And they end up developing the finer qualities of the human life. I mean, Krishna and Arjuna, they were raised by Vaishyas. And they did go to the Gurukul because as Kshatriyas, remember Krishna was born into a Kshatriya family, then he got some training, both he and Balaram.
Yes, Maharaj. But
I
Maharaj,
don't
when
want to
we do
draw,
this,
I don't want to, sorry, go ahead.
when we do the second initiation in Gaudiya, like in our tradition, Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition,
Yeah.
we give,
Yeah.
that is when the Brahminical initiation comes, and that's where we can do deity services, right? But that was not part of Gaudiya Vaishnava. It was brought in by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Swami and Srila Prabhupada. Is that how it came, that initiation, both men and women, they also received Gayatri Mantra, Maharaj?
Yeah, the Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta, they did make some adjustments. But I think the most important thing to gain from our discussion here today is that if you want to be a Brahmana, you must study Brahminical literature. You must hear the spiritual truth about life, and then you can impart that wisdom to others. So you learn the Shastras, Swadhyaya. It's called Swadhyaya. It means study of Shastra. And then once you know Shastra, you become priestly. You become like a Brahminical person. And it puts you outside of the category of just, again, having a rubber stamp. You have to qualify. If I'm going to be a doctor, I want to go and get training from where they teach you medicine, about health standards and so on like that. So that's why, like in ISKCON, more like in the early days, it was Brahminical initiation was given very, let's say, leniently, but now you have to jump through a few more hoops. It's just like if I get a degree in theology, or let's say a divinity degree, it means I have to then study quite a bit the Shastra, right? Otherwise, who's going to take me seriously? So for some of our kids, who are generally good kids, if they can also, like we might see them as Brahmin boys, Brahmin girls, but if we actually give them some spiritual training and the ashram experience, they can just move so much faster in their spiritual evolution. And of course, we're not saying that our children shouldn't get a good education. They should, but in addition to that, let them also learn the Shastra, learn what God says. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, looking at the time here. Okay, so I think what we can do is I'm 2 hours ahead of you actually. Here in Buenos Aires in Argentina. I'd like you to think about, let's put this question to you. Let's see. I'll ask you this now. Now that you look, what, and it could be for any show of hands. Of course, I can't see your hands right now. But tell me, what are the real qualities that a Brahmin should have? What would a Brahminical person display? And Vaishnavi, you'll have to help me with that.
Okay. So should I call everyone by in alphabetical order, or you're going to raise your
whoever wants to
electronic
come up first.
hands? Uddhava Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. At least for me, it's empathy. Right.
Empathy, a Brahminical person has empathy. That's good.
Yes. Yeah. So, like one
Okay.
of the most important quality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Everybody understands empathy, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
What would be another trait of a Brahminical person?
What is it? Patience, Maharaj.
Oh, yes. Very good. Patience, for sure. The person takes some time. Yeah.
Dhanraj Prabhu.
A Brahminical person is somebody who's really, let's say, has a good grasp of time, is on time, and takes good deep breaths. When you're breathing, it's like time ticking away.
Dhanraj Prabhu.
Tolerance.
Can you say that one again, please?
Tolerance.
Tolerance, okay. Sure. Tolerance, which is a little different from patience, but yes, very good.
Arjuna.
Knowledge.
Okay, a Brahminical person is wise, and wisdom can be defined as knowing the difference between matter and spirit. Okay. Next.
Naman, you want to go?
Humility.
Humility. Yes. Most definitely. Humble.
Okay. Naman's wife.
Kindness.
Kindness.
What was that?
Kindness.
Okay. Yeah. Beautiful. Someone else?
Ritam.
Clarity.
Clarity. Oh, yes. Very clear in outlook. A Brahminical person doesn't get involved in, let's say, the habits of the gambling and the drinking and all that, which Kshatriyas often did. But a Brahminical person won't get involved in those entanglements. I'm right here in Buenos Aires, and my understanding is this is where tango was born. And if you know what tango is, it means you get entangled in your dance partner. You get kind of tied down. All right.
Vasanta.
Vasanta, is she there?
She replied.
Okay, somebody else.
Oh, Vasanta, we couldn't hear you. So, Gurudas Prabhu.
I would say peaceful.
Very good. Yeah.
The,
That's mentioned in 14, that is 1842, right?
Dharma Prabhu and
1842.
Yeah.
Mansavananda.
Honesty.
Honesty. Arjabam, that's also there. One of the 9 qualities of a Brahmin. Good.
The purity, I would say, Maharaj.
Purity?
Yeah. For example, for Brahman who does the Pujari Seva, they often take shower once they go to washroom and come back. So they try.
Yeah. Chocham. Chocham. Yeah, that's also in 1842. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Julan Yatra.
I don't know how to say it in English properly. I think servicial, like servicial.
Dime en español, yo lo voy a ¿cómo se llama?
Traducir, servicial.
Exacto.
Que debe ser servicial.
Yeah, service attitude. I don't know how you say it in English either.
Yeah, service attitude. She said servitude. Yeah, it's the same. You merge the 2 words. Practically, yes. Having a good service attitude, always wanting to serve others.
Arjuna.
Oh, I said it, but I was gonna say, thinking about another one, it would be merciful. But Mataji said something too. I guess she said kindness and wisdom.
Okay, kindness, sure. Yeah. That was already mentioned, one of the first items. Wisdom, yes, jnanam and vijnanam astikyam. Yeah, all the qualities that are there in 1814. So you can make reference to that as to what are Brahminical people. It's these kind of people. Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
So
anything else? Any other qualities for a Brahmin?
He could be a good teacher.
Be a good teacher, okay. Yeah.
So did everybody get a chance to say?
Okay, well, I think we did pretty good, considering you're in North America, some of you are in Europe, and I'm in South America. But I think we all understand each other. I'm so glad we were able to connect, despite the distances. Okay, Naman, do you want to give me a call after this?
Yes, Maharaj, I'll give you a call.
Is everybody else okay?
Yes, thank you so much for joining, even though you are in a different country.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
It's working out.
Hare Krishna.
Safe travels, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Take care.
Hare Krishna.